Welcome back, everyone, to session 4 of our training on ProPresenter 7. Today, we're going to tackle how to add themes, what are messages, what do props look like, what about stage, and what about masks. So we're going to talk about all that today. And the first thing we're going to do is talk about themes. I mentioned these themes before in our last few videos. And as you can see, a theme is just basically a style for your text or for your props or messages. It's a style that you've already predetermined. For instance, if I look down here on my playlist, I can see that I have a theme for all of my lyrics, and I've just called it white box. All right. Now this is not standard. This is not something that you'll see as part of the default package. So I'm going to show you how to go about and do this today. So we're going to go up here to theme, and we're going to click on theme. And as you can see, it usually comes with countdowns, lyric styles, and stock. I've added one that says messages, and we can add as many new, basically theme folders as we want to. Typically, if I'm going to do lyrics, if I'm going to do lyric themes, I'm going to put it in a lyric styles folder. And depending on what you want, you can keep it. If you have an idea for a black box that's not on here, just put it in this folder. If you have an idea for lines that isn't in here, put it in this folder. I added a few shapes and colors in here that's not normal, and I'll just put it in that section. And then if you have a white box that kind of looks like this, like for instance, I have a lines only, all caps. So in order to actually create a new one, you have to go to the area that you want it to go to. So I'm going to make one for shapes and colors, and I'm going to go down here to edit. And as you can see now, it's just like your other editor. I'm going to resize that. It's just like your other editor that you saw we talked about a couple sessions ago. It looks the exact same, except for it immediately is not selected any slide. There's no object selected. So now we can just rename this whatever we want. For instance, if I don't like this, the gray outline being the name, I can rename it. So I've gone ahead and created a few of these. As you can see, pink gradient line fill. I've renamed that. And these are all the different sizes because I'm not actually plugged into a screen. So I've called this pink gradient line fill, and it's exactly what it is. You want to name them exactly what it is. This is a pink gradient. It goes from a darker pink to a lighter pink. And it has lines, and they're filled. So that's it. Pretty simple. And now then to get into that area, then we'll just go into here, into our text, and then we'll see that we can edit that text now. And you can go in here and we can select it as much as we want. So if I want to create something like this, all I'd have to do is, let's say I wanted a red one. So I'll go into here and I can always duplicate this. I can hit right and then duplicate. But I'm going to show you how to do it since you won't have the ability to duplicate it. So I'm going to go ahead and resize this again because I don't have I'm just using my main monitor here. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to add a new slide here, just a new theme. And I'm going to name it Red Gradient Line Fill. All right. So then what I can do is I'm going to resize this a little bit. I'm going to take this all the way out to the edges here. And what you need to do for these themes is just have a placeholder text. So I'm going to do this. And when I put in, I put line 1 of text. And then I put line 2 of text. If you normally I do 2 lines per lyric. If you do 3 lines, then you can put line 3 of text. If you want to do 4, you can do line 4 of text. And then I want to resize this so that it's just a little bit smaller. Something like that. And then I want to go to my text object here. First thing I want to do is I want to make this scale up or down to fit the container, which we're going to do here. And which we'll do on your slide. The reason why we do this for lyrics is because if you have too many lyrics to fit the line across here from left to right, it'll size it down to fit all your text on it. That's important. We don't want to have any lost text. The other important thing is if it's if there's not a lot of text and it's kind of small, it'll size it up to fit the container. So it's important when you do lyrics to either scale up or scale down to fit that container. The other thing that you can do is we can add a shadow to it, make it pop a little bit, have a little false 3D effect there. And then the other thing I do is I'm going to go up here into this little area, this little gear wheel right here, and then I want it to always be capitalized. That's the style that I want. Yes, I typed it in that way, but it won't always be that way. So you want to tell the computer to always be in all caps. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the line spacing a little bit, meaning the space between this line and this line. So I'm going to increase that just a tiny bit. As you can see, they're separating. Let's do about 15 here. You just want to have some separation between these two lines. So we'll do that. And then in order to get the color on there, we need to do lines only. And then what that's going to say is I want my shape, which I'm going to add in just a second, I want that color to only go for the size of the lines. Which means that it's going to, if the text is only just the word one, it's only going to fill that word one. It's not going to go the entire length of my box. It's only going to fill what the line is. All right, so I can just do the line width. I can do the max line width. Let's just do the line width here. And then I'm going to go back to shape. I'm going to fill, and I'm going to color this. We have a red, remember, gradient. So I'm going to first fill this with a gradient, which you can do a lot of different things here, which we talked about earlier. And then I'm going to color this red. And then I might just do maybe a little lighter red here. More of an orange, I guess. There we go. Do a little bit of a lighter red here. Maybe darken that up. And then I'm going to change the angle of it just slightly so that we get more of that light. I guess it's more of a almost pinkish at this point. But we can see that line that comes across here hits our angle. So we're kind of getting a little bit of a two-tone effect, not a lot. But you notice that it's kind of cutting off here. So we're going to go back to text, and we're going to go to full width. So we can always do that if we wanted to, or we can do max line width. And now we're not cutting off as badly. And we can always pad it a little bit. So if I needed a little bit of space on the side here, I can always increase that padding, as you can see there. So now, if I hit my line width, it's always going to have a little bit of extra according to that line. All right, and that's nice to have just a little bit of leniency, so you have a little bit of space between the end of your text and the beginning of that box. So that's a couple ways to do it. You can also change the alignment if you want. You can have it shift down. I don't necessarily like that always. You can always change it this way. You can offset it on one side. But I typically do something like that. And you can kind of play around with it, see what you like. And these are a little bit bigger than these are, so I can always, the beauty of this is that it's scaling up or down, and it's only in line width, so I can always reduce the size of this, like that, and it's going to adjust my text along with it. So that's always an option. You can play around with it. And this goes also for, we'll go to this white box right here. All I did was I added a shape. Actually, on this one I didn't. I had the shape as part of the fill on this. So basically I just said I want my text box to be filled with white, which is what I did here. So if I take the fill off, it's still a text box, but I'm filling that text box with white color. And then I have my text here be black. I chose my font. I want it to be all caps. And then I want it to fill the entire box. So I'm not gonna do, if I did lines only, then you'd see it like that. If you like that, that's cool. If you don't like lines only, then we just have a white box. Now obviously if I do lines only, I'd probably call this something like white lines instead of white box. But that's up to you. I could always duplicate this. Now that I have white box, I have two of them. Where's the other one? Oh, I have it right here. So I can duplicate this entire thing. There we go. And now I have 2 iterations of it. So then I can rename this white lines. I can go back into here and I can just select lines only. So now it's the entire container that I want. And I can adjust this. I can have these all the way out here if I wanted to. I could tell it, hey, I only want it to be the max line width here, which is going to do that, and then I want to pad it by a certain amount. If I want to do that, it'll adjust based upon that. So that's how you edit themes. And then to go back, you just hit show. And now if I want to change this, I just select one of my lyric styles. I go up to theme, lyric styles, shapes and colors, which is where I put it. And now you can see I have this red gradient line fill, and it'll change it along with it. So a little background. Now we have kind of almost a 3D element here on top of my moving background. And you can change this with whatever color you want, whatever ideas you have. You can find ideas online. You can look through these themes and look at the lyric styles and say, hey, I like this line, but I don't like the way that it's oriented. Maybe I want it to be on top and on bottom. You can go into here. We can edit this. We can duplicate this right here. I can call this white text horizontal lines. I can then take these lines, they're obviously on the right, I can move them over here, I can adjust the orientation of them so that they're horizontal. You might have to zoom in a little bit in order to be able to grab that, because it's kind of small. Yeah, it's super small. There we go. I can adjust that so it lines up here, and then I can always copy and paste that as well. Move that down here so it lines up. There we go. And then I can just delete this right line here. So now once I zoom back out, I now have horizontal white text lines, and so I have the idea of the vertical lines, but now I have them how I want to. And then when I go back to show, if I want them here on my theme, I can just go to lyric styles, lines, and then hit my horizontal lines. And it'll show up. So play around with that. It's really cool, all the things you can do with it. And you can do it per slide, per group, really whatever you want to do. So that's the idea for that. Next, we're going to talk about props. And that's one of the things, a prop is, remember, one of the top layers. And a prop is only used sparingly for maybe a chyron. We'll talk about what that is in just a second. Or some additional text that you want overlaid on everything else. Maybe your live stream. So we're going to clear this. And in order to edit a prop, you're going to go up here to More. And you're going to go to Props Editor. Now, this props editor looks exactly like all the editors we've seen, both your presentation editor and your theme editor. And I've already made 2 of them here. So this is a prop. Say you're doing announcemements, and you want this to pop up while you're talking, maybe on your live stream, or maybe just on the bottom of your announcement slides. And it's going to go over the top of everything, because remember, in the layers, the prop layer is on the top of one of the top layers. So this just says, for more information, please visit our website at yourchurchname.com. All right. The other one I've created, a prop, is called a chyron. And you've seen these probably on maybe your local TV, like your news. You'll see him like when the meteorologist comes up, maybe he'll have his name on this chyron. Or if you watch football or any kind of sport, if someone is come up and talking, they'll probably have their name like this, and it looks like this. It's just a lower third element with some kind of shape or detail behind it, and then the person's name and their title. That's what a chyron is. It's just some sort of detailed text that is out of the way and gives information to who's speaking or who's talking. So I've created just a normal one for, and I've called it Pastor Chyron. That's how you spell that. And now we're going to add it into our playlist. So now we have these props. They're always up here on props. We can always do them manually. I can click on this and it shows up. I can absolutely do it manually. I can also have this one show up on top of it. And I can clear them individually, or I can clear everything. All right? So you can always do it manually. There's an easier way, and it's called with an action. And we'll talk about actions more in our next video. But say I have the sermon down here. We'll go to the sermon. And maybe we'll talk about live stream next video as well, but maybe on my live stream I want it to show up. So what I'll do is I'm going to right click on my sermon banner. I'm going to go to add action, and I'm going to go to action palette. All right. There's another way to get to that. You can go to window up here, or view, sorry, and then you can go to action palette here. Both ways are acceptable. So now there's a ton of actions. We're not going to go through all of them now. But the most important one we want to show is the prop. All right. So we're going to add a prop onto this. And I want it, and it automatically shows up the props you've created. If you have 10 or 12 of them, it'll show all 10 or 12 of them. And I want Pastor Chiron. So I'm going to put that on there. And then I'm going to click off. Now you won't see it because it's a prop. It won't show up on here. But this little symbol right here shows you that you have an action of that it's a prop. So when I click on this, and it shows up on my screen. Oh, my application must be frozen. So we'll click on this, and now it shows up as my Chiron for my sermon banner. And then once we click off of it, it won't go away. So if we want it to go away, another thing we can do is we can go to props, and it shows us right there. We can clear it this way. There's another way we can clear it. If I click on this here, I can clear it through my props right here. I can clear that way. Or I can automate it with an action. So I'm going to go to View, Action Palette. And you'll see that there's all these clear actions, which is an automated way to get rid of it. And so I'm just going to hit Clear Props and drag it onto my next slide. So that when I click on this, and it shows my Chiron, when I click on my next slide, it goes away. Pretty simple way to automate that. And this can stay week to week. If you know that your pastor's always there, then he's going to always be in this place, and you're always going to clear it after that. So we can always do that. Now to remove these, we can just right click, go to remove actions, and now I can remove the action clear props, and I can remove the action prop on there. Pretty simple. So we can, same thing if I want announcements. If I go up to announcements and I said, for more information, let's have their website here. All right, let's do it on this one. So I'm going to add action, and I'm going to go to action palette. I want a prop, so I'm going to add my prop. And I want it to be the church website. So now when I click on this announcement, it says for more information, please visit our website at yourchurchname.com. So that'll show up on both your live stream if you have a live stream, and also on your front screen. And it's above everything else. So as you can see, it's above the slide, it's above all my objects, and it's just another thing on top of it. So I want to clear that. Again, you can automate that so that the next one doesn't have that. You can just clear all on that one, and then we can always remove this action here. So I'm going to remove that one. All right. So that's props. Props are meant for additional information that you want to add sporadically on top of everything else. I don't use them very often. I use them for Chirons. If I have someone coming up to give announcements that's not me, I might have their name there. Or if some kind of special, like maybe a funeral director comes up, whatever, you might use it then. So that's a prop. Next we have messages. And messages are used for the front screen, for your main screen, to send a message, to send a coded message to someone, or not so coded if you want. So messages is right here. I'm going to go into this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, as you can see, I have a child care. So for some of you who use an automated system of child care, who may have stickers for your children, usually that sticker gets printed out by a Dymo printer, and that's going to come with a code. So and then in your system, maybe you use Planning Center, or perhaps check-in. Maybe you use the Tithely system to check in. Whatever you use, maybe use Faith Life, whatever you use. If you print off one of those cards, it's going to come with a code. So for instance, if I have a childcare here, and say someone texts the front or texts the back, hey, child U571 is having an issue. Please let the parent know. So a discreet way of doing this is by a message. You don't have to go up during the middle of service, bother the mother or father. You don't have to have them be embarrassed by their kid freaking out. You can just calmly say on the screen, hey, whoever U571 is, please go get your child. And that's how we do that. So we can say we have a message here, and we have all these elements on the right here for our message. So what I've done, I've already created this, and I've already created a theme for this. Again, I already have one for messages and childcare. So we can edit the theme here. I've already created a message childcare. So what happens is when I show this down at the bottom right here, above everything else, messages is even above props, will show my U571. I've given it kind of a nice little backing here. And in order to edit this theme, I just go to Theme, Messages, and Edit. Same thing as a normal theme, and then I can edit this. You can put placeholders in here. I put a nice kind of feathered rectangle here so it pops out. And then when I go back to show, now my message is here. All right, and I can go ahead and clear this when I see the mother has gone. The other way to do this is I can put, let me do another one here. And I'm going to name this one, we'll name it Help. All right, so I can say so-and-so's name. Please go to, and then I'm going to do a room. So let's say Jesse, please go to room 34, the nursery. Right? And when I show this, it shows Jesse, please go to room 34, the nursery. And that's how I do it. Now, I don't have a very good theme on this, so I can do it at the bottom again. I can go to messages, and I can do childcare. This is going to be messy, though. We'll show it again. As it fits there, but it's just not very good. So I can create another message here. I can go to, I don't want to delete that. So I go to messages. I'll go to edit. I can create one that's titled Help. And we'll call it, we can get rid of this. We'll call this Help. I will edit my text here. Place folder text. I can make this a lower third. It's on top of everything else. It's probably helpful to have a nice lower third on this. Go all the way out here. All the way out there. And then if I wanted to, I can add an object. I'm not going to add an object on this one. So that now when I go to messages and I go to help, my theme on help is going to be my help. I'll show that, and now it's changed to just on the bottom here. All right. And then to clear all, it's the same thing as prompts. I just clear all, and then it's gone. And that's important. That's helpful, mostly for childcare, mostly for communication discreetly with the congregation. It's never used for anybody who's actually part of the service, the pastor or the worship team. All right, so that's messages. The next one is a stage. As you can see here, a stage, and this is a stage message. So if you go here, I'll show you what the stage screen looks like. This is what it looks like right now. And in order to edit this, you go to this little 3 button, and we'll go to Stage Editor. All right. So now we have our stage here. I'm going to back this off just a little more. And this is what our confidence monitor, or the monitor in the back, also called a stage monitor, is going to look like. We have our current segment, our current timer, how long this one's going on. We have our system clock, you know what time it is. We have our countdown if we have some kind of video. We have what's coming up next in our slide and what our current slide is. The problem is with the default is we don't have a way to communicate with the people on our team. So we're gonna add that in right now. I'm gonna slide this down just a little bit, our current slide, and I'm gonna add an element, and I'm gonna go to stage message. So we're gonna bring this up here, and we're going to pop this just on top of everything. I want to edit this text. I want it to be bold. I want it to be all caps. And I want it to fit the container. We want it to be as big as possible. And then this is important. This is what I like to do. I want to flash when the message is shown so it gets their attention, right? So a nice yellow, maybe a little brighter here. Something that catches their eye. It can be the green that they suggest. I like to do a nice yellow. And so now when I have a stage message, it's going to pop over everything. It's going to flash a few times, and that's how it's going to get their attention. All right. And I can change this text to black if I wanted to, but we'll just do it that way. So we're going to go back to show, and I'm going to go to stage. And now I'm on my stage screen right here. So this is exactly what's being shown to the people. And I'm going to hit stage. And I want my stage message to be, Marge, your mic is off. Please turn on. So I'm going to show that, and it's going to flash that color, and she's going to be like, oh yeah, I need to turn my mic on. And then when she actually does that, then you can clear that message. Or, Pastor, it's been an hour and I want to leave. You can hit that, and he sees that, and he can either talk for another 45 minutes, or he can heed your warning and start wrapping up. So those are ways to communicate with the stage. And if you go back to the stage editor, you can have many different elements on here as you want. If you want only, we'll get rid of this next slide. If you want only the current slide right here, and we'll make it about halfway here. And then if you want to have the chord chart on here, if you have it linked to your planning center, then we can add the chord chart. We'll show that. And now we can have it on here. Now I don't have it linked, and I'll show that in a different video how to link our chord chart. But that's the idea of how to get to the stage screen. So we're going to go back to that, and that's how you communicate with the stage. Now the last one we have is masks. And the reason I'm bringing up masks is because it's important to understand why it's even here. So a mask, we'll talk about that more when we go into looks on our next video. But a mask is going to obscure, much like a mask in Photoshop or in Illustrator, a mask is going to obscure a part of your screen. Why that's important is because if you need a projection map that's a little more advanced, or if you need to cut off part of your screen because of maybe you have a choir that is going to be standing in front of your screen, you need to mask part of it off. So I'm going to show you how to enable it in our next video. But right now I'm going to show you how to edit it. So you go to Mask Editor and say this is our screen area. All right. So I have a choir that their head is coming up to right here, and the projector is shining right in their eyes. So I'm going to add a shape, a rectangle, and I'm going to cut off just the very bottom of this right here. And so now their heads are not being shown on. Basically, I'm cutting off part of my output so that they're okay with the screen. And so that's how you do that, and that's now we're masking that part of that off. So that's a mask, and that's how we edit it. It's just under one of these editors. All right. So then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to configure your screens, how to set up your live stream looks, more about the actions for these looks, why you would want to enable a mask, and of course the importance of lower thirds, especially for your live stream feed. So that's all for this session. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.